already done a video showing how to use Quick Start Peyote cards. If you haven't seen it before and you want to take a look, I will pop a link up, that little eye up there in the corner. If you just click that sucker, it will pop out, it'll show you where to go to see that video. It was pointed out to me though, well actually what happened was I had somebody who bought one of the tubular Quick Start cards. So most of the cards are for flat peyote, but they do have a card for tubular peyote also. And one of the ladies who bought this emailed me with a question on how to use it. And I thought, you know, it's just different enough using this that I probably should do a separate video on how to use the tubular version. So that's what we're going to cover today. I think that these cards are a really great invention. And for those of you who really struggle with getting those first couple rows of peyote done, this is wonderful. So let me show you how this all works. When you purchase this, it comes with 3 of these cards in here. It talks about this not being reusable, where the other ones are. Here's the difference. The flat Quick Start cards, what they've done is they've laminated the paper so that it's basically like a heavier paper. With the tubular, because we need to be able to roll it into a tube shape, they can't laminate it so that it retains all this flexibility. So that simply means that once you've used, say, this portion, if you were going to make something this big, once you've used this portion of it, this portion that we've used up can't be reused. But what can continue to be used is the remainder of the card, and I'll show you how to make that happen. So you can get multiple uses out of a single card. I just don't want that to be too terribly confusing that it says not reusable. It's not that you only get 3 uses, it's that you only get 1 shot at each segment that you use up of this card. So what you do is it comes flat like this, and with all these holes in the center here. And so you're just going to fold it in half. It is already, it's easy to fold in half because it's got all those openings there. And then you want to create the round tubular effect with however many beads are in your first row of your pattern. So there's 2 things that people will frequently want to do. They'll want to cover an object. So if you're wanting to cover an object, what you want to do is put that object there, and you'll roll this around the object until those slots match up. So say right there would be right where I'd want this to overlap right there. And then I would cut it off so that's that size. And that's actually what I'm going to do here, is we're going to cut it right about there. Like so. And then you'll tape this together. One thing that I disagree with that she put, that is in the instructions in the actual card itself, is it says not to overlap any of these little spots. I actually disagree. I think overlapping 1 or 2 is perfectly fine. I just find it easier to make sure that it matches up if you overlap it. So what I'm going to do here is overlap, by 2 is kind of what I had. So this is the fiddly part. There we go. So we've got those overlapped right there. Got it all lined up. I'm going to take my piece of tape, and I'm going to tape this together. Now let's say you don't have an actual object to measure this around. You just know the number of beads that are in that first round. Well, that's fine too. What you're just going to do is you're going to count out that many divots in the card, however many it is, and then fold that, or round it into this tubular shape, and then match up the ends here. So it's the same thing either way. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use this as I bet you I shouldn't have taken it off. Oh, looks like I'm not going to get it back on. Okay, well, we're just going to use it like this. I was going to use that as a dowel, but that's fine. I don't really need it. Here's my thread that I've already gotten ready to go. Where it's folded over, you've got a little hole between the two pieces of paper, the two sides are there. So what you want to do is bring your needle in through the end up into that first divot and pull it down. You want to leave yourself a tail here, and if you want to, what you can do is, if you don't want to hold on to the tail, take another piece of tape and you can just tape that tail right there, and now it won't accidentally pull out. And then you want to use the beads, you want to add the beads in the first row of your pattern. So in this case, I'm using all one color, so I'm just picking up one, and then I'm going to pass in between the two pieces of paper here to get to the next divot. So one of the reasons that she mentions not overlapping is because if you don't get the overlap just right, it can be a little hard to get that bead in the right location. So I'm just going to kind of position it just right. There we go. One of the other things to mention is because this is not a more solid material, when you're pulling your needle through these spots here underneath the two pieces of paper, you want to make sure that you're pulling straight through and not pulling out to the side like this. This is something I actually discovered the first time I used this, was that when I was tightening the beads into the location, excuse me, I was tightening out this way and I actually popped the bead through the paper. So you want to make sure, you want to be careful when you're pulling it into place that you're not pulling against that paper. Whoops, made the bead fly. You also don't have to worry too much about your tension on this row. You just want to softly sit it into that slot. So here I've gone around and added, you can see where I've added beads all the way around. I'm about to add the last bead of this round. I wanted to show you that I had to kind of fold this end in a little bit. This is probably, my own darn fault because I insisted on doing that overlap. So to get to this last divot here, I had to fold just the top half out over just a little bit to get to that last divot. So here I am, I'm taking this last stitch through that last paper intersection there. And because that's the last stitch of the round, guess what? It's step up time. So this is where I'm now going to step up through the first bead that I added as I was going around. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to a different color for the next row so you can see it a little bit better. And it's just like normal here, you're just picking up a bead and you're going through the sticky outie, the next sticky outie bead. And it just is going to pop right into the space. Again, you still just kind of want to treat this a little gently as you're going along. Make sure that you're pulling your thread straight through the bead and not off to the side. We don't want to pull that out of the paper format here prematurely. That is what we're going to do. We're going to use brute force later, but right now we want it to stay right there. So here's the plan. This is what you do, is you're just going to keep adding rows, doing your step up at the end of each row until you have enough basically to hold on to. So I usually do, say, 3 to 4 rows. I probably go more like 4 to 5 rows, to be perfectly honest, while it's still attached to this paper piece. And once you have those 3 to 4 rows done, you can either use your beadwork and just pull it out of those little slots that I was so concerned about pulling it out of before. Well, now you can purposely pull that out, or you can actually cut it. So you can actually get in there and just cut those intersections. You want to just make sure that if you cut it, that you're not cutting the thread. So you kind of want to go in underneath the bead and make sure you're just catching the paper when you go to cut it off and cut it loose. And at that point, you'll have a perfectly formed tube that's ready to keep going. So it's a really easy way to make sure that everything is stacked up really easily. Tubular peyote, I think, is one of the most difficult things that people complain about getting started. Those first couple rows in tubular peyote are a little bit difficult. So this way, everything stacks up beautifully for you. And I think it's totally worth the money to get these. Now, this part I've used, I won't be able to use again, but next time I make a piece, say it's only, say, 6 or 8 beads wide. Well, I'm only using a little tiny smidge of that, and I've got the entire rest of this, plus 2 more full cards in here. It comes with 3 full cards. So that's how you use the tubular quick start cards. We do carry these at jillwisemandesigns.com, so I will pop a link up for that. Just click that little I and it'll take you to the link to take you to the store. And if you haven't already, have you subscribed? Because you got to make sure you subscribe so you keep tabs on all of these videos that I'm releasing. I'm on a roll. I've got so much content backed up on a list to send out to you, and you want to make sure that you don't miss any of it. So subscribe, hit that like button, tell your friends, tell your family. We have a big party here at Jill Wiseman Designs. Happy beading!